Okay, so let's start. So in the previous lecture we have come to know that DNA is the major genetic material. So what is DNA and where does it come from? So DNA is basically deoxyribonucleic acids. Okay, so nucleic acids, there are that is nucleotides, which are the main chains of which form chains to form a nucleic acid. So there are two types of nucleic acid. One is DNA and another is RNA. Two types of nucleic acid. So DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid and RNA is ribonucleic acid. DNA is called deoxyribonucleic acid because of the fact that it contains a deoxyribose sugar in its chain, that we will come to know today. So basically DNA exists in two forms, that is single stranded and double stranded. So in single stranded, that is DNA is one stranded like this, and in case of double stranded, DNA is double stranded. Don't take these two strands for, that is it is for this it is called double stranded. It is just for explanation to show the sugar phosphate bases. Okay, so double stranded is like this. Okay, so single stranded we have come, then double stranded DNA exists in these forms. First is A form, B form, C form, D form and Z form. So these are also called A DNA, B DNA, C DNA, Z DNA, etc. etc. So these four forms are right-handed, means when they are coiled in a right-handed manner, clockwise, like this, right-handed. And this is Z form. This is left-handed, means this is left. Its coiling takes place in the left-handed structure. Okay. So this B form of DNA is the most common of all among these all. Okay, means most common in the sense that it exists in all forms of organism or like this. So DNA is I have mentioned about RNA. So DNA is a major genetic material, but RNA also acts as genetic material in some viruses or some bacteria and etc. Okay, so let's come to this B form of DNA. This B form of DNA was proposed by Watson and Crick in the 1953. Okay, so this form of DNA is also known as Watson and Crick model of DNA. So before coming to the structure of DNA, let us know some you can say nomenclature or terms that you will be needing. So first one is the purine. Purine is basically nitrogen bases. Okay, so that is the double ring structure. This is one ring. This is another ring. This is hexagonal structure and this is pentagonal structure. And second, next one is your pyrimidine. So pyrimidine is single ring structure. So obviously purine is greater, or you can say bigger than the pyrimidine, because purine consists of two ring structure. Okay. So next come to deoxyribose sugar. What is deoxyribose sugar? Deoxyribose sugar is basically a sugar that forms the backbone of DNA structure and is composed of deoxyribose sugar and is composed of the mainly pentagonal bases. Okay, so during the formation of structure of DNA, okay, there is a, let me erase this out. That is polynucleotide. Okay, or nucleic acid. So this is basically composed of three components. First one is the deoxyribose sugar plus phosphoric acid plus nucleotide. Okay, here you get phosphoric acid and sugar base, and this is the nucleotide base, which is forms the polynucleotide chain, or you can say the backbone of DNA. So let us come to structure of DNA. So as I said, structure of DNA was proposed, that is B form of DNA was proposed by Watson and Crick. So basically in this structure, this is double helical structure. That means there are two strands, but remember that these two strands are not identical to each other. These are complementary to each other. If one strand, if one end of one strand is 5 prime, then the other end of this strand should be 3 prime. Similarly, for this strand also it is 3 prime. That means this end should be 5 prime. Okay. So now let's come to its structure. So the structure of basically the backbone of DNA is composed of phosphate group and the sugar. Okay. This phosphate group is attached to the carbon atom of 3 carbon of deoxyribose sugar at one end. Okay, let me show here. Okay. This phosphate group is attached to this sugar at 3 prime end at one end, and the same phosphate group is attached to the next deoxyribose sugar at the 5 prime end. Okay, so they are joined together by phosphodiester bond. The phosphodiester bond basically forms your backbone of DNA. Similarly, here also you can see I have drawn these structures. These are nothing but the nitrogenous bases, that is purines and pyrimidines that I have mentioned here. So purines, there are certain examples of purine. The example of purine is adenine and guanine, that is double stranded structure, and the example of pyrimidine is cytosine and thymine and uracil. So uracil is not present in DNA. You will not be finding DNA uracil in DNA. It is present in RNA. So in case of RNA, thymine is replaced by uracil. Okay, so don't get confused here. So these are the, suppose purine and pyrimidine. Okay, so if I take A and T, remember that a purine always binds with a pyrimidine in case of DNA that are joined here by hydrogen bonds, these hydrogen bonds. Okay, so if I take A, it will bind with T, and if I take G, it will bind with C, and vice versa. Remember that this is adenine and that is thymine. Okay, this is guanine, this is cytosine, and uracil is represented by U, that is not required now. So adenine A always binds with T and vice versa, and G always binds with C, vice versa. So why I have given these 2 bonds and here 3 bonds? Remember that A always binds with T with 2 hydrogen bonds, and G always binds to C with 3 hydrogen bonds. And due to this, you can say this, due to this bonding, this bond is stronger since 3 hydrogen bonds are involved here. Okay. So this complementary bonding between these bases, that is adenine and thymine, that is cytosine and guanine, this structure is stable than the other structure. That is, if you take single stranded DNA, that you will be finding this complementary binding. Okay. So here gets the why this DNA is called complementary and why it coils with each other, because there is binding between the purines and the pyrimidine. So let's come to the next facts. Diameter of this double stranded DNA is 20 angstrom. Means this diameter is approximately equal to, this is approximately equal to 20 angstrom. Okay. So, and next one is that and this here, and this, the difference between the length and the difference or the length between these 2 bonded nucleotide bases is 3.4 angstrom, and this, and the difference between the rise between this one turn is approximately equal to 34 angstrom. So it is counted that in this turn, approximately 10 base pairs can be found. Base pairs means adenine bonded with T and guanine bonded with C. Okay. So here you can find the, that is I have shown deoxyribose sugar and phosphate are bonded together, that forms your backbone, and here are the nitrogenous bases that are joined together by hydrogenous bonds, and this is major group. Since there is a long depression, so this is a deep depression, so this is called major groove, and since there is small depression, so this is also called minor groove. Okay, so here is the structure of DNA. So this is due to this bonding and due to this your forming of backbone, the structure is more stable, and it cannot be just broken by applying high temperature. Okay, it requires very high temperature to get broken. So next we come to the polarity of DNA. So what is polarity of DNA, and why do you call this DNA polar? So basically I have shown you here P, there is S and there is S. I have shown in this structure S, P, S, P. Okay. So this deoxyribose sugar. So before saying this, I have said that deoxyribonucleic acid is composed of deoxyribose sugar. Deoxyribose sugar is basically a pentose sugar. So this pentose sugar and phosphoric acid binds with each other to form the backbone of DNA. So this deoxyribose sugar attaches itself to the phosphate group, to the 3-carbon atom of that phosphate group at one end, and the same deoxyribose sugar attaches itself to the next phosphate group at 5' end, or you can say 5' carbon of the next phosphate group. Okay, so due to this there is development of polarity in DNA. That is one that I have already mentioned, that one end is 5' and one end is 3', and the same and the other strand is if this is 3' and this is then it is going to be called 5'. So this is the polarity of DNA. So depending now, actually observing the structure and the contents of DNA, Chargaff, a scientist, Chargaff's rule. He is a scientist, and depending on these contents and the structure of DNA, he proposed some you can say rules or assumptions. So these are basically called Chargaff's rule based on the scientist name. Okay. So your first assumption was you can call it as rule. The first rule was that the amount of purine is equal to the amount of pyrimidine. So I have already told purine is adenine and guanine, and pyrimidine is cytosine and thymine. Amount of purine is always equal to the amount of pyrimidine. Next is that deoxyribose sugar and phosphate are present in equimolar concentration. That means this sugar and the phosphate are present in equal amount or equal proportion. And the third assumption is that the ratio of A plus T and G plus C, the ratio of A plus T and G plus C is always constant for a particular species. This by this is always constant for a particular species. So these are basic assumptions or rules of Chargaff that you observe from the DNA structure, and it's based on the contents. So here we have come to know the structure of DNA. We have come to know the polarity of DNA. That is also I have made you understood. And the last one is that Chargaff's rule. So that also we have completed. So in the next lecture we will be talking about the transcription, translation and many more under this chapter. So thank you for today.